Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me today. I hope we'll have a fruitful discussion about this subject of the future for independent retreading. I have 10 questions here. Don't know whether we'll get through them all, but we'll try. So, the first question I wanted to ask was, in recent years, small and medium-sized retreaders, independent retreaders have come under increased pressure in the market. So what, in your opinion, are the key challenges currently facing independent retreaders? I'll start with you, Frederico, because you've got a microphone in your hand. So.
Thank you, David. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure. The current challenges that we see that retreaders are facing, one of the biggest is the economic challenge. Okay? Is directly related to the cost of a low one-life tires, new tires in this case. They're putting a lot of pressure in the retreading industry, and together with these tires, the other issue that we see happening in the market is that the lack of good quality casings to do the retreading. That is affecting also. Another thing that we see happening in all the markets now, not only here in Europe, but in all major markets, is lack of labor for the retreading. We see that it's difficult to get people to work in the retread plants. Now, I'm not talking about skilled people, I'm talking about labor itself, right? So I would say that those are the major challenges that we are seeing right now. Yeah.
Okay, Vittorio, what's your opinion?
So thank you, David, for the invitation. Well, I am totally agree with what Frederico was saying. I would add, let's say, another point, which is nothing new, but is the bad reputation of retreading. It's also something on the market that is not helping to fight, of course, against low prices of use and disposal tire.
Okay, let's move on to the retreaders in the room. Kevin, what's your view? Yeah.
My opinion is pricing is a challenge for independent retreaders. I think these guys have hit on the subject of labour. It's very difficult. And also bringing youngsters into the business for succession planning and this type of thing. I think that's a challenge, and I think the industry needs to change a little bit. It needs to be modernised a little bit. Some of the independent retreaders need to, I think, change on their strategies with marketing, because I think that's quite a challenge for getting enough customers into their business. Casings is a problem, definitely. And also another challenge is obviously the balancing act against the cheap imported tyres, where the casings aren't really good enough to retread. Yeah. I think they're some of the main challenges for an independent retreader, in all honesty. Labour's definitely certainly in the European market, is a challenge on its own merits, really. I think the other thing that is a big challenge is cash flow, and the way interest rates are, and this with the banks, etc. And also getting money in, cash flow, getting money in from customers is a big challenge, because people are very good at making tyres, but they forget about the important part of the finances within the business.
Yeah.
So there's lots of challenges.
Yeah. Okay, Michael, what do you think from your experience in Southeast Asia?
Yeah, so the only thing I think I can add to that is the lack of vertical integration. So you look at retreaders who are associated with large manufacturers, they have all the heft and weight that comes with having a manufacturer behind you, and it goes, back to, the finances, the casings, etc. So, if you're an independent retreader, you really are often having to scrabble around for these things, whether it be finance, whether it be additional casings, and you don't have that support network that comes with having a manufacturer behind you, or huge amounts of fleet customers, which again comes with the manufacturing base. So I think vertical integration is another challenge that independent retreaders face?
Okay, so I mean the second question is related to this, and some of it's been answered already. But the question was, what specific things can retreaders do to survive and prosper in what is a really challenging market at times? Would like to, Vittorio, would you like to start?
Yes, this is more funny questions.
Yeah.
I prefer to talk about that than problems.
Yeah.
Solutions.
Yeah.
Solutions. So first of all, pressure on price must be fought through the total cost of ownership. Total cost of ownership of a solution of a good quality tire and retreading is always lower than buying just new cheap tires. Always. So this is the first thing retreaders has to do to fight against low prices. Second, casing. Well, casing, of course, it's a problem. How to handle casing, be more closer to the market. So be closer to the customer, to the final user, make services that help to collect directly casing from the market, and also has more information about the quality of the casing, because you know how the tire has been used. Third, know-how, labor force, skilled labor force. This is something that has to be solved through all the digitalization and automation process. There is still a lot to do into retreading. We have a lot of technology enabler that can be bring into the retreading production, and that can really make a big difference in our business, because it's still a complex business, it's still making in an artisanal way. We have to make it more standardized, and it is possible, and this is, I think, one of the main development of our industry in the next years. And finally, of course, the matter of bad reputation of retreaded tire. So what can do retreader to fight that? It's not just a matter of communication. To fight that, we must do quality. If everyone make perfect quality retreaded tire, we will fight also bad reputation. But if there is just one guy who make bad quality, he ruin the reputation of everybody, of all the sector.
Okay, who would like to go next?
I completely agree with the points that Vittorio mentioned. Quality, I would say that one of the first points that you have to look is inside of your business. You have to make sure that the quality on your process, starting on your process, I'm not even talking yet about the quality of the products you're going to put in out there, but the quality of your process, the retreading process, has to be 100%. I know that as being an independent retreader, you don't have, let's say, a full support of like a big tire company, for instance, but there is quality suppliers in the independent retreading business that can help you a lot on that. We know Marangoni Vipal, one of the major suppliers here in Europe. We have technical teams that can assist the independent retreaders with training on all the positions of the retreading. We do auditing, quality inspections to make sure that the process that they have will be 100%. A part of that, then of course, emphasizing on the quality of the products that you are using is very important too. Like Vittorio said, the reputation that you have to have in the market, you have to keep it up. If you're putting a product so to the market, the whole retreading business is affected, right? And the other thing that we strongly see needed for the independent retreaders is not only focus on production. They need also to reach out and try to have participation at the end user. For one point, to see what's going on in the market, to have the best feeling from the market what is happening, and also together what I already mentioned about quality in the process, quality in the product, build his reputation directly with the end user. Okay, and a part of it, there is still in Europe a lot of room to grow for retreading. There is a lot of fleets nowadays that are not using retread tires. I would recommend, and I recommend all the independent retreaders to invest time in opening up these new accounts.
Absolutely, Michael.
Yeah, so for me, I think it comes down to two key areas. One is professionalization, and by that I don't necessarily mean improving the production process, like Frederico was saying, because I think a lot of independent retraders have great processes, but externally they look like small businesses, you know, and with strong branding, strong marketing, strong sales, you know, they could come across as a larger, more professional business. And I think, you know, a lot of fleets are looking for a pair of safe hands, and if they can appear to be that pair of safe hands, that will massively help. And then the second part for me is collaboration. I feel like the retrading industry, it's a lot better in Europe, where I am in Southeast Asia. You know, the fight between retraders is bigger than the fight for the retrading industry. You know, and I feel like in years to come, if that doesn't shift, if the infighting doesn't stop, and everybody starts working together to improve the whole retrading industry, you know, it might very well disappear.
Kevin?
I think these gentlemen have covered most of the things, but for me, as a retrader, we always try and sell the right product to the customer. If you sell the wrong product to the customer, then they're going to get problems. And we see vehicles which have the wrong type of tyre on. Retraders need to put their products out on the market in a professional manner. They need to be made in a professional manner and market their business. Good websites. You know, it doesn't cost too much to have a decent website and market your business, you know, through email marketing or LinkedIn, this type of thing. Choose the right supplier, if it be, you know, one of these guys, us, or whoever it is. Get the right product for the customer and what's right for your business. I think cost to serve is a massive thing for independent retraders. Find local business is important because the cost to serve is much lower. Don't run before you can walk type of attitude, you know, with local business. There's a lot of fleets out there that also don't understand retreads. They see, you know, from years ago where tyres used to explode or tread come off, and I think one of the most important points is to educate the fleets. Actually, the value for money, the retread is much better. You know, if you look at a cheap imported tyre, everyone thinks it's great, but just feel the weight of it, 52 kilos for a budget tyre versus around 70 kilos for a retread, you know, on a decent casing. And I think people need to understand actually that more new tyres fail than retreads. It's up to the retreaders really in their areas to educate the fleets, because most fleets just think retreads are going to fall apart, and that's due to a lot of the black market retreads being made with treads that aren't good enough for the roads really, and you know, but that's really my most focus would be on supplying the right tread to the right fleet and the right pattern on the right casing. Don't fall into the rounds of using cheap casings where the tyre's going to fail, or a heavy tread on a Chinese casing is going to fail, and all that's going to do is damage everybody within the European network that's making retreads.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to a different topic. So as I alluded at the start of the presentation, the new tyre manufacturers will have you believe that the best thing for independents is to work in collaboration with them. So what, in your view, are the things independents need to do when deciding whether to do this or not, and what are the benefits of remaining independent as a retrader? I mean, Kevin, you carry on.
Listen, the manufacturers, I think all the manufacturers are doing everything for the right reasons. Yeah. I think if it works for your business, you should do that. I do think working with the manufacturers is a good thing. However, I think you should still stay independent. And if you want to use Marangoni, Vipal, Megatread, or one of the other treads on the market, then you choose what's best for you. Definitely don't fall into the realms of being controlled and having too much work from a manufacturer, because at the end of the day they'll start to control your business, and you know, you want to be free to sell whatever you need to, whatever the customer wants is the main thing. I think you need to work with manufacturers to a certain degree, but I think the manufacturers also need to give a little bit back and understand that you're independent and that you're not owned by the manufacturer. And that's my take on it. That's my take. And there's enough work to go round for everybody in a professional manner. And the manufacturers, I think, for obvious reasons, want to do as much as they can because the future is retreading. So, but I think you still need to have that independence. Use whatever you want to use. I wouldn't sign into any contracts that you can only use one type of tread or one manufacturer. I think you should be free to do the best you can for your business and for whoever you're supplying as well. I think that's really important.
Frederico?
Sure, no, I completely agree with Kevin in that sense. Being an independent retreader gives you 100% control of your business. You enables you to navigate the market more dynamically, gives you this option at least to see the changes in the market and adapt according to what you see that fits your business. You know? So in this way, being independent, you don't have to be stuck with one way of doing things. You can look at the market that you are actually doing business and adapt quicker. That's my point.
Okay, Vittorio.
I'll give you the short answer. It's better to float on a small boat than sink on a big ship.
I think
As you know, all the European manufacturing industry is seriously challenged right now, and I don't see much future for new tire manufacturing in Europe. So basically, I think it's better to stay independent, to be free to take our decision, and to see what's happened. And by the way, of course, if you are independent, you are a real entrepreneur, and so you are free to change your way, and to be flexible in this moment of uncertainty is more true than ever. Then, of course, you have also to consider that, just to give you an example, last year in our factory in Italy, we have retreaded 141 different brands. 141. Do you really want to lose this opportunity? So the world is changing. We must be flexible. And who knows what's gonna happen? Maybe tomorrow we will have just Asian Tire. And, well, we will retread Asian Tire. Which is better? It's an opportunity for independent retreader because they don't have retreading program, so they need us. And if all the tires are going to be imported, sooner or later there will be some logistical issue. Who's going to absorb this problem? Who's going to supply locally if there is no more manufacturing? Retreaders. So this is another opportunity. So, well, keep calm, stay independent.
Yeah, I mean, this is actually quite a difficult question for me to answer with my background because, you know, I've seen big manufacturers try and come and collaborate with independent retreaders in Southeast Asia, and, you know, it's very often it's come to nothing. They can't, you know, didn't take enough time and effort to understand the market, you know, or they get involved with an independent retreader and then realize that actually the independent retreader is much smarter than they are in that area, and all of a sudden they get, you know, shifted out. So, you know, for me, I couldn't envisage a world in my part of the world where a big manufacturer gets a solid foothold over the whole market. So, you know, Southeast Asia is destined to stay independent, whether they like it or not, I suspect.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's move on to another topic then. So what I wanted to know was what can tread rubber suppliers do to increase their support to the independent retread sector? Vittorio?
Okay. So, of course, first of all, like I said, quality is very important. Not just because it's a matter of reputation, not just, it's, like I said, if we want to fight a cheap tire, if we want to fight price, we must win on the total cost of ownership. So that means that we have to make a premium retreaded tire. retreaded tire that can easily demonstrate that they match the performance of new tire or can be even do better. So as a supplier of material, of course, we want to provide tread and material that has a superior quality to match this kind of target, and not just this kind of target. Of course, retreading can also have another big opportunity, which is catching the long tail of the market, where a new tire producer has not enough volume to make their product, so make a product for niche market using special thread. This is another things, of course, that can help a lot retreading. Then, of course, like Frederico was saying before, sharing know-how, giving technical support to retreader. This, of course, is going to help to handle better the process, to make better quality, and to be more efficient. And on that point, also supplying technology and develop technology is also our responsibility to have better process, better machinery to make retreading more modern and more competitive. And well, finally, communication to sustain the perception of retreading, to fight bad reputation.
Kevin?
For me, I think receiving good feedback from the retreaders, specifically for our own products, we want people to tell us the good and the bad, because if we don't get that information, we can't make our product in a better way. The quality of the product's got to be good, because if not, it will give the industry a bad name. Feedback for me from independent retreaders is most important, because none of us can get it 100% right unless we get feedback. And making sure that we support the retreader, like these guys are saying, with technical information and training. We have a training guy, and we will support anyone. If they're buying our tread or somebody else's tread, we'll still support them, because we're all in this for the same reason, you know, and that's just to support the industry. But the quality needs to be good for the European market, and I think in general, probably, you know, there is good quality tread already on the market, but there's also a lot of really bad tread on the market, and a lot of companies that use that tread have never used a good piece of rubber, and if they did, they would change their minds on the retreads. They'll pay more money for the retread as well. Don't sell your tyres too cheap, you know. You need to keep that price up, because if people see a cheap tyre, they presume it's a cheap piece of rubber, and they don't look after it. If you buy a cheap car, you may not look after it as well as if you buy a Ferrari, you know. And I think that is really important, that the quality of the tread and what retreaders are buying, they really need to look into what they're buying, look at the tread, and give feedback to all the manufacturers, because manufacturers do care about what they're supplying to retreaders. I think that's probably one of the main things for me, is to know exactly what's happening. Instead of someone saying you've got bad rubber, say what was the problem? Was the process right? Was it the right tread? Was the was the inflation right on the tyre? Give us all the feedback so we can help.
Fred?
Sure. Yes, I would like to add another 2 points to it, to complement what Vittorio and Kevin already said. Focus, like I said before, in the quality of your process, and also in the efficiency of your process. Nowadays, to do retreading for all industries is becoming more and more expensive. We saw the surges of costs in labor, in electricity, and everything involved manufacturing. So focusing in efficiency in your process nowadays becomes one of the key elements to make sure that you can get the best benefit of your product when you reach the end user. Quality definitely is a key, and from one side we need to make sure we have suppliers to help the independent retreaders in the sense of training also in the right application of the product that they have. Quality is essential, but to get the most of the product that they reach the end user, we as suppliers, we need also to give recommendations and be very active at the end user side to get the most of it.
Michael?
Yeah, so for me, when I was out selling retreads, one of the things that I think I would have benefited from the most from the tread supplier was, some research, some data, some analytics that are kind of real world examples of how well this tire performs in certain applications. Because that stuff, we've all spoken about education, etc. But when you're talking to fleet customers, numbers really, really matter. So if tread manufacturers and retreaders, were working together to provide data on how well this pattern performs under certain conditions, those sorts of facts and figures that you could then give to the independent retreaders or work with them to test in the real world, that would be gold dust for their sales teams.
Okay, well, let's move on again. A really important question: how can retreaders become more profitable? Who wants to start with that one?
Do you want me to start? They can advertise with Retreading Business.
Oh,
That's I think having walked around this show a lot today, there's a couple of things that are sticking out for me in terms of how retreading is going to develop in the next 5 to 10 years. I mean, automation and machines have to be part of the story. AI, we're not, I don't think anybody's there quite yet, but it's going to have to be part of the story. I think what we're going to end up seeing is a world where all of the menial tasks in a retread factory are done by robots, but then we have a smaller number of people who are absolutely professional and exceptional in what they do. So instead of having a broad, not necessarily unskilled, but not as highly skilled workforce, we'll switch into what can we automate, and then where can we train people to be extremely efficient and extremely well knowledgeable in specific areas. I think that is going to be the absolute key for profitability in the retreading industry, because natural rubber, natural material costs are going to keep going up. Staff labor costs are going to keep going up, land costs are going to keep going up, electricity costs are going to keep going up. We can't really change those things. What we can do is become more efficient in the way that we operate, and I think that's pretty much the only way I see it changing.
For me, to become more profitable is the name of the game, really, but I think you need to split the business up into different segments. Electricity is probably one of the bigger costs within the business. Streamline your process. Make sure actually you're making the retread in the correct manner, because to make something badly is probably cost you more money than to make something in the correct manner. Look at the processes. Look at the staff. Get the best out of your staff. You might have a member of staff that's good at one thing but bad at another. Make sure that your challenges in your factory are fluid. Look at your suppliers. Make sure the cheapest product is not always the best product. Make sure that what you're buying is value for money, and that you can make money from it. Make sure you have the right markup on the tyre. I see so many retreads on the market, and I look at them and say, they can't make that tyre for that price. How are they making a profit? And if you don't make a profit, you can't then expand your business into the automation world, because this costs a lot of money. It's very, very important to have that process right. Don't have no wastage. Waste is not a good thing to have within the business. So look at the length of your treads, or obviously if you've got ring tread or whichever, but look at your wastage, because every time you throw a piece of tread away, it's cash. And if you're cutting the ends of treads off, and weigh it at the end of the month and see how much you're throwing away, from the extruder gun or this type of thing. See if there's things that you can do with that, or you can sell it, or just make sure you're making the best out of your process, and the value of your goods that you're buying need to be the right. You know, if it be expensive or less expensive, just make sure it's right for the business, and don't sell the tyres too cheap. Don't undervalue your product.
My reply is in the same line as you, Kevin. I believe, first of all, you have to understand the costs involved in manufacturing. Nowadays, it's easy still to find retreaders, independent retreaders, that don't fully understand how are the costs of their operation before they construct the pricing of their final product when they are selling it. So the first step would be understanding the cost of your operation and understanding until where you can go with pricing. Because if you get into price wars, you're never gonna win. It's a lose game for everybody. So that's one of the key points that I would recommend. And the other point definitely is related to the information. Like Michel said before, it's important to know for the sales team, for the sales side, how good the product is according to the application. And this information is key for you to be able to mark it up on the product they are doing. The final users usually, especially the smaller and medium fleets, usually they don't have a very good tracking system for the tires. So they rely a lot on the information that you can bring to them. Bringing correct information, and we know it's very hard to get correct information. We have done many tests, and we do a few tests, and to get reliable information back is something very difficult, but it's worthwhile. Once you are able to get the fleets that they committed to do a full test with you, the follow-up, and you see the results coming back, that automatically creates value to your product, and you don't need to fight pricing anymore. So I believe that's one of the great ways to improve your profitability.
Okay, thanks.
So, of course, costs are important, but I would add some other things just to complete the picture. It's an hard job. There is no magic, so we have to work hard to increase margin. But first of all, there is the positioning of the product. We need to position the retreaded tire as a premium tire. In a new tire, there are premium, there are brand in the middle, there are cheap tire, and so on. In retreaded tire, there is retreaded tire. That's it. There is no premium, there is no budget, there is just retreaded tire. So this is the first problem. So we need to divide also in retreading, which is what is premium retreading, what is cheap retreading. Because this is the first point. If you make very good quality, you can really get out of the product more value. So first of all, high positioning of the product and defend this position. Second, retreader can also evaluate collateral business. Of course, in the retreading activity, you can make synergy with other business. You can integrate your activity with more service, with dealing also new tire, with, managing activity for recycling end-of-life tire. So you can try to integrate other activity, other business that has synergy with retreading, and this will, of course, make your company stronger and benefit of also margin of other business. And finally, another things, of course, that must be kept under control is casing. Follow the casing. I have nothing against the casing dealer, but of course, if I have to pay all the cost of the supply chain of casing dealer, I'm losing a part of this margin. If I am closer to the final user and I can follow the casing and get back the casing, of course I'm saving a lot of money. So these are the point. Then of course there is all the part that they already mentioned about making production more efficient, increasing productivity, and also add flexibility is very important. But this is on the cost side.
Okay, so we have time for two, maybe three more questions. So the next one is, How important is diversification into other sectors, such as retail, tyre recycling, and so forth? How important is that to the future prospects of the independent retreading sector? So you can start, Victoria, if you like.
So I start from what I left in the previous question. So yes, I was saying is a big opportunity for Retreader because they can have synergy. So it's a fantastic thing if it works. So what of course you have to consider is that this is an entrepreneurial business. So when you have to catch an opportunity, it must be an opportunity. You don't have to do something just because someone told you that you have to do it. Because if you don't have the resources, if you don't have the right positioning on the market, if you don't have the right cost to do it, it could be a disaster. So you have to consider if this collateral business are there is a serious opportunity that, of course, in this case must be cashed, or if there is not this opportunity because for specific reason is not for you, so it's better to do less and do it better than do more and do it bad.
Okay.
Yes, I would say it. I would go in the same line. We've been talking about this topic. And diversifying your business definitely more than before, I believe, is a key for the independent retreaders, and especially on the service. Like I mentioned before, don't focus only in production, also service your customers. There is a lot of fleets out there, medium and small size fleets that are not using retreading, but if you come with retreading in service that they need to manage their tire business, I believe that is one way to diversifying your portfolio of your business without losing focus on it.
Okay.
Well, for me, we have diversified over the last 12 years. So we started out as a tyre fitting company, and if your products are too high in price, it's more difficult to sell. You can also have a too bigger area to make a profit from. So we then went into wholesale of new tyres and retreaded tyres, which retreaded tyres, as we still do to this day, buy from retreaders. So from going into wholesale, which is I think if you're a retreader, it's a good idea to do wholesale. You know, I think that's a really good add-on to your business because it's a natural transition. I think if you go into recycling and this type of industry, personally, I think it's a whole new, it's a different industry to retreading. We also fit tyres in England. We have a part of our business as a service centre. We have the retreading business, which was taken on from the profits from the wholesale. And obviously we've diversified again. We have the retreading business plant, but now we're producing tread. So all the small pieces of profit that we earn from each business, we put that in a pot and we think something else that we can do which is along the lines of retreading in the rubber industry. But I think it's very difficult, and I think you need to focus on your business. I don't think every retreader can diversify into something else. Maybe if they focus on what they're doing first and make a profit from their retreading business and use them profits then to carefully think about what they want to do in the future. But I think these guys have pretty near nailed it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, I think my experience differs somewhat because I come from a space where diversification in the retreading space is already high. You know, most of the retreaders I know and work with, you know, they're distributors, you know, for imports into the country. You know, they offer tire management services, whether that be, you know, physical on the ground, we're going to come and change your tires, or whether it's, you know, generally about management, we're going to measure and monitor how many kilometers your tire have done, and every month we're going to give you a report, and, you know, that obviously helps them sell both more new tires and more retread tires, helps keep everything in that loop. You know, even stuff down to, you know, breakdown services for trucks, you know, where we go and replace tires roadside. which was one of the kind of the biggest value-added parts of the business that I used to work for. But I think the idea of closing the loop for me is important for retreaders, because almost the most expensive part of the whole tire industry is the logistics cost. You're sending out a 295. So if you're an importer and a retreader, you're bringing in a 295, you're sending it out, you're bringing it back to retread, you're sending it out again. That's 4 journeys. That's getting expensive. So then if you can close that loop and bring recycling, and I probably disagree with you a little bit on this. I think recycling is probably the next sensible decision for a retreader, because they have that network, they have access to all of those tires. And I suspect most retreaders will tell you they throw away a lot of tires anyway, so why not start recycling those and turning that into some cash as well?
Okay, well, time has flown. We've got about 2 minutes left. So I've got one final question. I'm going to ask you all to be succinct with the answer. Please, can you sum up your views on the prospects for the independent retreading sector in 30 seconds each?
Yeah, the independent retreading industry is facing several challenges. We talk about them during this panel. But we strongly believe there is room definitely for the future of independent retreaders. Independent retreaders, they can reach certain areas of the tire industry that and they can cater for the customers in those areas that nobody else can. Together now, where sustainability is becoming prominent in the market, in the visibility, we really believe that retreading itself and for the independents too will be a boost for the future of the retreading.
Michael?
Yeah, for me, independent retreaders are some of the most tenacious people I've ever worked with. So, as much as there may be a bleak outlook, I'm pretty sure that they will find a way to get through it and push on and grow their businesses.
For me, I think everything goes full circle. I personally think retreading is definitely the future. I think the governments need to get involved and push it more. And I think Vittorio, if I pronounce that correctly, hit the nail on the head. There needs to be a premium, mid-range and a budget retread to let people know what they're buying. But I think the future is definitely bright, and it's definitely the future. If it be pre-cure and hot cure, who knows? I think pre-cure will become quite strong, because you can have a retread shop that can make many different patterns. If you have a mould, it's going to be the same pattern in and out that mould day in, day out. So me personally, I think in the next 5 years, retreading will be at the top of its game. And I think everyone's going to be very, very busy.
Vittorio, final word to you.
I'm very optimistic about independent retreading and retreading in general. I think that we are still facing a difficult situation, but the worst is gone, and the future is quite interesting. Let's say 4 things. First, quality of Asian tire is growing a lot, and they are becoming retreadable. Like I said, this is a big opportunity because they don't have a retreading program. They need to make their tire sustainable for European market, and so this is a very, very interesting opportunity for independent retreader who can be a very good partner. Second, sustainability regulation in Europe is going in the right direction, and it will help a lot more retreading the new tire. Because we are very sustainable, we have a lot of advantage, and as soon as this regulation is coming mandatory, this advantage will become money. So this is another interesting things for the future. Third, digitalization. Digitalization will allow to track better the tire, to have a more controlled life of tire, like mandatory TPMS, for example, or assisted driving system, which will allow the better use of the tire, but also tracking the casing. So this will also increase and make retreading more easy to do. And the final point is technology. Like I said, there is still a lot of space for improvement in retreading. If we consider the average productivity of retreading is 1.2 tires per man-hour right now, we can easily see that in the new tire industry, the productivity is 3 times more. So we can still improve a lot these numbers. There is the technology to do it. We have to invest and develop it. But of course the opportunity is there, and we can catch it. And it's not just, like I said, a matter of increasing productivity, but also flexibility, because retreader must be flexible. So if today I need to do a lot of tire, I must have the capacity to do it. But if tomorrow I have to do less tire, I need to have a very low break-even point. So this is what technology can do for retreading. So finally, I can say that retreading still have an interesting future, but I cannot say the same for the European new tire manufacturer.